Okay. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, good. There's Marthe. God bless you, girl.
Hello.
Hello.
We're
Sorry,
just
I'm late.
about ready to go into silence. Stillness for
Oops.
60 seconds. Ding, ding,
Thank you.
ding, ding. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, welcome to what's this? Number 4? Number 3? Number what?
Number 4.
Four.
4. Okay, good. Uh, the thing that we have been missing, of course, is our training to participate in a team. We have simply begun by me assuming the role of facilitator. Marthe has assumed the role of recorder. You have assumed the roles of inquiring members. What we are missing is the consultant, and that is a person who looks at the large overall progress of the team as it discusses its topic that fits into the larger genre of planetary management. We haven't had that training. If possible, I would recommend to you that you download the design team process from my Google website, which I call my library, my Google library, and that it has those roles in there described. And you could probably excise, copy and paste those sections that you recognize into Google Translate so that it can translate that material into your native language. I think this would be really helpful. The learning process when we are in person becomes much more intimate, meaning that you can more easily see nonverbal cues from people about their satisfaction or their happiness or their joy is reflected in facial expressions, and also those things that are upsetting or somehow doesn't fit with your thoughts of what we're doing, or you may you may disagree vehemently, Spanish word, I don't know, violently, it's not a good word, with the topic or the opinions that are shared. So I think we're doing fairly good so far. One thing that I found in a design team, and I have conducted probably not quite a dozen yet, design teams around the United States, Mexico, and Canada. So it requires a great deal of humility, and I call it assertive humility, because if you're too humble and you're too receding, then you are not participating to the degree that you make a contribution to the topic or to the discussion. When you are humble, means that you know you have something to say, and if it fits in, you would want to raise your hand so that you could speak your piece so that it fits in nicely with the rest of the conversation or discussion. David raised his hand. David, do you have a point?
No.
No, okay. So as a point of procedure, if I am TRing Macaventa, then Cheryl will touch me on the shoulder to let me know that someone has their hand raised and wants to speak. Okay. Okay, you ready to leave that business? Okay, so I would really like you to read what is pertinent and important to you in your role. Inquiring, see, when we are in a design team that is dedicated to one topic, then everything that was said contributes to that one topic. When we got into family last week, the topic of family just kind of exploded. And we got that all over us, so to speak. And there are many topics that were covered and not covered very well. I've had a request from a couple members during the week that they would like to finish up the topic on family. Let me begin that process as your facilitator, meaning that when we talk about the family, it is really the production engine for society. It produces new generations. It brings children into the world as adults. As you can examine in your own nations, a lot of the people, all of our citizens, are really poorly prepared for participating in the group process of a nation. In fact, it basically does not exist very well in the United States. So the question would be, now, you are in the role of being a planetary manager. We are actual planetary managers. We're learning the role of planetary managers by doing this work. And in doing this work as a planetary manager, we are looking at the spectrum of 50 to 250 years, 250 years, as the time when we would measure some progress of programs that we have instituted now. Okay, so the question is, if we want to improve the quality of citizens in the future, and let's qualify the word quality of citizens in the future, that they are able to think in terms larger than just their community or neighborhood. Okay, we want people to become effective citizens. Okay, so in the future, we would have design teams in every school district. Okay, and the design team is really a learning environment. The individual members learn how to participate in a team, and the team participates in the larger state, local or state or federal, national level by making their contributions. you have seen on American news and elsewhere where people gather together, and pretty soon it is a shouting match, a name calling, and even in some nations the Congress has gone to fisticuffs, meaning that they have physically duked it out with opinions that are different than theirs. From a distance, that's kind of humorous, but on the basis of civility and the conduct of a nation and the welfare of millions of people, that's really barbaric. Okay, so here the spectrum is, what can we do to produce a generation in a local community where the quality of that individual who is becoming an adult matches our expectations or the quality specifications we want. Where would you begin? What would you teach? Who would you teach? Okay. So think in terms of an outcome. Let us say that we start a program in a local school district to produce children in 20 years who are socially capable, competent, and responsible. Yes, Jacques.
There is two options, but one, you can teach or train the parents, but personally, I will start by the children. Very early in the school, I will teach this generation, and I will invite the parent too, but for me, the target is the children first.
Okay. In this program, I'm going to fill in some blanks as we go along. I've been thinking about this design team and family and this educational process for at least 15, if not 20 years. And there would be a program in the school district as a separate organization. It would be a family learning center. And in this center, it would teach simultaneously or concurrently parents, children, all age groups, okay? If you had 20 people who came on Tuesday night to learn about parenting and child rearing, we would have something for everybody. Some children, of course, are too young to be in a classroom by themselves. They would be with their parents. So, and we would have a liaison with the school board and the school district's academic classes, as you're suggesting, Jacques. B?
Yes. So I see that we're moving we're associating, I guess, the training of children with not only the family at home, but also a family learning center. And now you're wanting to, if I'm correct, associate that with a school district, which I think is a great idea. Now, my question is, who would there be outside? I mean, I think there should be outside experts that are outside of the school district that are leading the family center. I also believe that there should be involvement by local parents as well, or even just if, like, say, one family has an older child, they can be a mentor for a family with a younger child, and you can pair these people together. That would be one. So there would be various, like, I see it as being like didactic at one level, interactive at the second level, and then mentorship. Like interactive as in like, you know, role playing or
Okay.
exercise and stuff like that.
Okay. So you're into program development right now.
Yeah.
Okay. That's beyond us right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, we're looking at big generalities. Okay. Now, when I say school district, I don't mean operationally at all. Schools are too political. Public education is way too political for us to engage in. We would have supplemental material for the school district or the state school program that they could use, but we're not going to be getting our boots on the ground in any school building. And we will not integrate ourselves organizationally with them. In this regards, I'll play the role of the consultant now, and that this is going to sound arrogant, but we know the way, and we're going to go that way. Public education has effed it up. They don't produce they don't produce a large number or percentage of children who graduate and are fully competent for entering into society. And so if we know the way, we're going to go our way. And if they want to pick some of that material up, we'll give it to them or sell it to them. Okay. Stephan?
Yes, thank you. What came into my mind when we were discussing this is we agree there's going to be some teaching, and we assume everybody involved agrees with the curriculum of that teaching. And what we see, the disarray in the world that you alluded to, Daniel, is that we can't even agree on what to discuss.
Yes.
Right now, there's disagreements about even what's important, what's not important, and what is best for society or what's best for people. There's complete disagreement. When one is towards the rebellious thinking, we should be able to say whatever we want. And there's another that is more level-minded that says, okay, we should be doing what is best for society and for human beings. So when you say we're going to be teaching this curriculum, you know, how are you going to invite and attract people to this curriculum and have them all agree that this should be taught to their children, which is a huge point of contention in society right now.
Yes.
But it's just, I'm just looking at the realistic, maybe we're thinking 100 years down the road when there's been an apocalyptic event, everybody's been brought down to their knees and have finally saw the light, right? And are willing to enroll in this.
Yes, you are, Stephan, you're so right with the disagreement. What guides the program, as I see it at this point, are the ethics and the morality of the 7 values, and that we use that as the core program development within the learning center.
And people attracted to this.
Pardon?
And people are attracted to this.
Yes,
voluntarily.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, got it.
And
all right, we don't need to explain any further. I think we're making that assumption, right?
Good. Yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
We begin by hiring people who want to participate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so it becomes easier at that point to install our program in learning centers. And there will be people from the outside. Of course, everybody's on the outside now because nobody's on the inside except us 7 people. Okay. So we would hire people for their talents and for their expertise and for their genuine regard for children becoming adults. Um, and truly, I have children now who are 53, 48, and 43. And these children have children. So I have 5 grandchildren. When I was raising my children back in 70, 75, 80, they were the humane, I call it humane education, materials were really beginning to bloom and be produced. And that the old didactic process that began with Dr. Spock and his idiocy of regimented child rearing carried over into the educational system. So this is in regards to 50 years ago, this is revolutionary what we're talking about, and that we strategically we want to have our children become the future leaders that we would look up to and other people would look up to and would regard with respected appreciation. What we're talking about here with us today is the putting a bow around this family education process so that we can move on. And of course, this is very important today because we are setting the standards for all the other programs. We want to create a coherence among all the social sciences. And of course, the social sciences come to rest in the family and in the early learning. So what we're changing education, and that includes the family, to become more humane in preparation for that child becoming an adult to live productively in the adult society. These people will become our policemen, our police commissioners, our county commissioners, our chief accountants, treasury executives, and on and on and on. And that we want to, this is personal to me, we want to instill in them a regard for the lives of others on an empathic basis. We want to have an empathy for those children who will then become the adults who will care for us, old people. I don't think there's anyone here older than I am. Anyhow, I am the old one here. Does this make sense? I'm trying to fill in the blanks, and of course, how we get this started. This is really a difficult topic I'm going to present to you right now, and I've done it in many different ways, is that we're designing a program that doesn't have any funding. Now, bite into that one. We want to design a family learning center that some benefactor would want to invest in or gift. Okay. And I'm not talking about a highly professional a group where everybody makes $100,000 a month, a year, but that would have some volunteers. Everybody would meet qualifications for their participation. Yes, they would have to provide their criminal reports and their background checks and so on. We don't want any sexual predators with our children. David, sir.
Yo creo que una buena idea de poder aterrizar y atraer a posibles inversionistas para los centros de aprendizaje para familias sostenibles es escribir un libro. Si escribimos un libro, como han empezado muchos movimientos a través de un libro, donde podamos vaciar algunas buenas prácticas generales que puedan ser recibidas en cualquier parte del mundo y que en ese libro se plantee los beneficios de una familia sostenible para que todo tipo de comunidades pudiera tener acceso. Un libro bien hecho, bien resuelto, o una serie de libros podría ser un buen comienzo para nosotros y que pudiéramos ir abriendo el camino para quitarle quizá la ambigüedad que pudiera esto tener y representar para muchas personas. Hay libros que son extraordinarios y que se han convertido en películas. Si nosotros podemos trabajar en el desarrollo de un libro donde ya estén expresadas no solamente lo que tú ya mencionaste, Daniel, de familias sostenibles, que es un libro extraordinario, sino llevarlo todavía más con la creación de un volumen más amplio. Eso podría ser quizá una buena idea.
Agree. These things I've written are just embryonic. They are just the beginning of much larger works that, myself as being a social architect, have dropped into your lap the basic foundations of these programs. It will, after I'm gone, and during the time I have remaining, these projects hopefully will be taken up by others who want to begin to expand them into those volumes. For instance, in pages 15 through 24 in the learning centers, family learning centers, it speaks about the standards that we want to achieve in the children who complete the program with their parents and enter society. We want to have these children with a good self-image. How do we do that? How do you teach children how to develop a good self-image? I didn't include that in the book. I'm just saying that a healthy, positive, constructive self-image is very important for the child who becomes an adult. Okay. We're talking about self-identity, self-worth, self-image, purpose, and meaning. Each one of those, you could write a book. Geoff?
Claro.
Yeah, thanks. So having established that we need these family learning centers, as has been stated many times in the past, we have to decide, or we have to come to some conclusions about what sort of curricula are going to be included in those learning centers, which involves finding out what are the best practices of child rearing worldwide, really, so that we can see what we all have in common. We can see what has worked and what hasn't worked. So I think we have to do that work of doing that research.
Yes.
Otherwise, we don't really know what we're talking about, do we?
Yes, that's correct. We know just by looking at you wonderful people that you're fairly well civilized. Okay, you have a conscience. Where did you get that conscience? How was that instilled in you when you came into the world as a day-old child, infant? You brought with you some basic genetic estimations of right and wrong that became more expressive as you got older. And those were reinforced by your parents, hopefully, and by other and grandparents, hopefully, so that you became able to have relationships with others. And this is the source of ethics. Ethics has to do with the right and wrong of our relationships with others and with ourselves. Now, if you want to take that further, ethics is more refined in etiquette, okay? Social etiquette, the rights and wrongs of social interaction. There have been books written about etiquette, okay? This is to give us an advantage in relationships so that we can develop them into friendships. And yes, even in romantic, intimate relationships, there is an etiquette. There's the things you do and the things you don't do. Okay? And refinement of etiquette is manners. Manners is a subsection of etiquette. When you're sitting at a dining room table and you're a guest, what do? Do you just reach over everybody and grab a bowl and start scooping food into your plate? Probably not. You would wait for the host to guide the conduct of the passing of the food. Does it go to the left or does it go to the right? Doesn't make any difference, but the host sets the standard. Okay, that's manners. Okay? So etiquette and ethics are really the allow us to have relationships, productive relationships, without ego, without self-entitlement, without being authority or being a bully. And so what we're working at here, I'm giving you a very grand picture of social conduct. And this is what we want children to learn. We would perhaps have our children, when they are able to sit at a table, a small table with other children, to learn etiquette and to learn manners. And this gets down to the fine-tuning of ethics. Ethics are those rules that help us conduct our social relationships with others. In fact, this is so important that they call it diplomacy at international levels, and diplomacy in management and employee relationships, and in labor unions and so on. Okay? You see, when we begin to think of ethics in relationships and etiquette and so on, we need to, it comes down to humility. You got to take the ego out. I'm more important than you are. You're more important than I am. Neither one of those positions works. Absolutely does not work. So when you begin to think of this in international terms, you can see why people of other countries, nations, have a hard time with the United States. In some ways, United States are benevolent bullies. It's just kind of the way it is. It's really unfortunate. It is what did I say this morning, Cheryl? It is passive aggressive. You know, national passive aggressiveness it sucks. It just doesn't work. So we, in our relationships, that's on Friday mornings, we have our recycling trucks and recycling trucks and trash pickup. Anyhow, I know them personally. They like to honk their horns. I don't know if you heard that or
We treat them well.
we treat them well, yes. So how do you teach that to children? And Jacques, and Geoff, we are talking about actual doing. What is the operational definition of good relationships? Setsu Hayakawa and Suzuki talked about semantics and they really got down to, what's the other guy, that old man, got down to the semantics of words. And when you really want to get down to the basics of semantics and word definition, you get down to operational definitions. Okay. Well, what is the operational definition of being polite? Oh, there must be 100 examples. So we would want to, there would be some families who would be interested in that, some families that wouldn't. Okay. So you see the nuances of nuances of coherence on a societal level begins in the family, where there's a smoothness. There's certainly land that is given to children, that they learn this smoothness. It's not to be used as manipulation, but it really helps relationships. If two business partners, one is offended, what did the other one do? Who knows? Somehow that needs to be mended, like mended and amended works too. It needs to be healed. So there are ways of doing that, and we must learn that too. Bullies have the domain by their strength and their aggressiveness and to hurt others, to bend to their will. This doesn't work, whether you're a national leader or a kid on the playground. And how to be, the height of humility is to be a big person and kind. That's impressive. And Jesus had that. I don't know what stature he was, but anyhow, he was recognized as a powerful person who loved people, was always curious about the other person. And so when we develop these programs, we are curious to see who these children become. What makes a difference in their life so that they become powerful, kind leaders. We have some financial giants in the world who are just buttheads. They are not kind. They are not nice. I don't need to say more about that. But
Geoff had a question.
Geoff, you had a question?
Oh yeah, no, I just wanted to put forward a suggestion. So in coming to understand these best practices, which is basically what you're talking about,
yes,
within the family, should we begin where we are and find people that seem to have well-adjusted lives?
Yes.
And interview them as to how that came about.
Yes.
So I think if we all do that within our own nations or within our own communities, that would be a start, at least, to start to get some information that we could input into this team.
Yes. Whether we, I love where Marthe lives. I have met some really, really beautiful people down there firsthand. They're very kind people. And of course, there's some very mean and very bad people. So it doesn't make any difference where you find these people, but you're looking for good examples of humanitarian socialized individual. Okay, socialized. They know how to get along with themselves and with others. So you're exactly right. That would be the beginning point. I wish I could pay all of you enough to make you independent of your employment so you could go into your neighborhoods and interview people. If you interviewed 200 people, that would be a chore, to find those talents. What made them great? What made them socialized? And so on. Abhi? You're muted, dear.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay. I have a friend, and actually most of my friends have children that are much older than mine. They're entering adulthood. And I spoke to one of them who is very, very mature for his age. And really what I got from him was that his upbringing was very influenced by his parents and specifically how they raised him, and the example that they provided. And I think I'm trying to emphasize example because, you know, as I think you mentioned, or something was mentioned that, well, actually, no, I'm thinking of something else. Children are, especially younger ones, are sponges, right? They pick up on things in the family dynamic that, you know, that you wouldn't expect them to pick up on. They're much more observant than you think, and based on what they are observing in the family, not their participation in it, or just even just the other members of the family, how the parents are interacting, how the parents are interacting with another child, you would be surprised how much they pick up. So good parenting has to start with a good example from the parents, and also the right amount of support. You know, they talk about authoritarian parents and authoritative parents, you know, and it's sort of, the difference is how you approach the child or how you're trying to make them feel. Are you trying to control their behavior without regard for how they feel? Or are you trying to, you know, mold their behavior with discipline, but with the idea that you want them to know that you are doing it for their own good, right? That this is for them, that during the entire process, they are valued and respected, feel respected and valued by the parents and loved. You know, these are very, very important things when raising a child. I'm just saying within any family.
Thank you. Yes, you're exactly right. Having been a child and remembering my childhood very, very clearly and distinctly, I did a lot of observations of others, parents, grandparents. My father was a farmer, and he interacted with other farmers who came by and talked about whatever. And, you know, some smoked and some didn't. One of them looked at me, and I was a little guy and not in school yet, and 4 or 5, I guess. And I looked at this guy, and he was smoking, and he says, "You want a puff of this?" And he looked at my dad, and my dad says, "Yeah, go ahead." So I took a puff on his cigarette, coughed myself to death, never smoked since. Okay, so there's lessons to be learned from positive influences and negative ones. And you alluded to a number of influences in a person's life that we want to tap into. And so our fundamental question that I would begin with an adult or a young adult, at least someone in their teens, I would ask them, what were the major influences in your life, and how did you learn them? That's actually two questions. So we want to find the source, the most powerful influence, and what did they learn? Okay, so these become the universal models eventually of how all people learn. Okay, there will be cultural differences between Hispanics and the Inuit. So we may find a difference between all the white cultures, whether it's in Australia or New Zealand and the Nordic countries, for instance. So so we want to find the universals of life and learning and the modes in which people learn at early ages that will help them model their lives. And that's what we're looking for, models in our society that we will interview. And where did they get their models? Was it a grandfather? Was it an uncle? Was it a neighbor? Was it someone else? You never can tell. Marthe?
Thank you very much, Daniel. This goes back to the idea of models. There's a beautiful comment I once heard that spoke about children being exposed to the adjustment of antagonisms between their parents.
Mhm.
And because we know that it's so that the Urantia book says that men and women are from different species, and so that we know that that is the primary model that children will be exposed to is two people trying to have a good relationship with all the social etiquette and the social manners that they've acquired, but finding it difficult. And so if you could also just speak about that, the differences between masculinities and femininities in those modeling relationships that children need to be exposed to, because on top of all the millions of different examples of different cultures that children will be exposed to, they have that primary relationship of two people who often don't understand each other.
Yes. The what I'm trying to do here is trying to get you acquainted as interviewers, as cultural anthropologists, to think in these terms about learning what is of influence. And of course, we talked about the negative ones last time, and I don't want to go there at all this time. And I'll just address this that way. If a child has been exposed to predation, whether it's sexual, social, whatever it may be, then they will most likely express that in their adulthood, particularly the more powerful the identification is. And that's why we used sexual predation as being the most powerful, because it just, once it is imprinted, it's like ducklings. They just don't change, okay? And they express that in their lives. It takes great effort not to. So yes, there are definite differences, and these have been written about extensively. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus, yada, 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 okay? So if you read that book for what we are looking for, you could find those differences and those tactics very, very quickly and very useful. So when we do this work, we will have interviewers such as yourselves going into your communities and interviewing best examples of adults and of young adults. Because in our learning centers, we will be addressing the needs, the social needs of children through elder years. Okay. So, and then we will have a team looking at all of the historic literary research that has been done in libraries. And there's been, there's tens of thousands, not just thousands, but tens of thousands of books written about human development. And each era has been examined in great detail. And what we're doing here is for each learning center, we want boots on the ground, culturally specific ways that people can identify with in their cultural learning center. We want to make it easy to teach people ethical social conduct. And and I know, Canadians know, the Irish know, the Americans know, the tremendous religious violations of white man knows best for other people. That's just bullshit. It's hostile, it's unfriendly, and it is just disgusting. It is immoral in the greatest degree. So we want to make it easy for people to identify with positive ways of living. We want these children to grow up to be models for other people. Yes, Jacques.
Yeah. Trying to be a model for children. I have two grandchildren from 8 and 10. I try myself to tease them to look at I would say, to science, to be curious on science article or experience,
Okay.
and also in religion. But for religion, I found it quite difficult. I just tease them that they are an inner guide, this kind of thing. But on the other hand, they have also grandparents which are not religious at all, who also compete against this idea. Of course, I leave this to them to decide. This is also a difficulty, you see, because I wait for them to ask me more questions, and they will ask. But because on the other side, there is quite a reluctance, they, at this age, 8 to 10, they have to decide where to go.
Yes.
And even in the 50 years to come, or 250, we have to take into account that there is a rebellion mindset. And we are not such open to, I would say, religious things, conscious contact with our thought adjuster. So this is a difficulty I see.
Yes, children at a young age make major decisions about the rest of their life. The age of separation is about 8 or 9, and if you look at the psychology of that era, you will read where the child is becoming aware that they are separate from their parents, and so they begin to see that, and I remember this very clearly, and that they feel a separate. It's an isolationism of the individual from the parental couple, and that they're no longer intimate to that, and regard as being intimate to that couple relationship. And so, the little guys or girls and boys just, it's bewildering. They begin to think about, what will I become? The astronauts that we wanted to become when we were 2 and 3 and 4, we realized that if you're wearing really thick glasses, you're never going to be an astronaut or a jet fighter plane pilot. My eyesight was so bad I couldn't even qualify as being a navigator for the Navy. So that age is very tender, and that's when they're very open to grandparenting, and that these are pivotal sources of wisdom, and hopefully the grandparent is compassionate, humane, kind, loving, and accepting. Accepting recognizes the potential in the child, and that the child is worthy and deserving of the very best that grandparent can give them. Of course, that applies to parents too, and older siblings. you know, I'm really pleased with how our session today is going along. It is really positive. We haven't dived into the negative bucket of stuff that we did last week, but we are really aspiring to climb the ladder of spirituality beginning at an early age. I'm just really thrilled with you today. It's not that you should depend on my being thrilled or disappointed for your life or in these sessions, but we've done some good work here today. Okay. And so if you see yourself as a planetary manager or the facilitator of a family learning center, then you really have gotten your role cut out for you. You can begin to see what you want to teach your neighbor's kids and who your neighbor's kids become. Now I'm going to turn the page a little bit here. When we think of the strategic planning for a community, we want to increase the positive influences upon the children and families and parents, and decrease the negative influences in the neighborhood and community and in the families. Again, you're going to hear this over and over again from me, that we do not have a societal code of moral decision-making. Okay? We don't have a societal code of ethical decision-making. We do have some amorphous ethical guidelines that roll around in our societies, but we do not have a solid, agreed upon foundation of ethical behavior that we can sell to everyone. Yes, Geoff.
Just to get back to Marthe's point, it all starts with the family, or it all starts with individuals within the family. So surely the most important thing is that we get general recognition of the fact that the masculine side of things is dominated for far too long, and that you know, we're all equal as human beings, and that should be the basis on which we operate from. You have to overcome hundreds of years of patriarchy and various tribal, you know, habits and so on, which have become ingrained. So we have to start with one man and one woman recognizing each other as equal,
yep,
of equal importance, not the same, but of equal importance.
Yes. The you know, I've worked with I've written, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 books on ethics and morality, and these 7 values as the basis for ethics and moral codes of decision making. And I have since then come down to 2 values that are core to all of human existence in societies and a civilization, and it is life and equality. Just 2. Okay, life, you come away with a moral code of decision making. With equality, you come away with a highly evolved code of ethical decision making, which includes the human compassion. And this is a much refined view of equality, which is as legitimate as anything else. So when we think about the curricula for these family learning centers, we're really talking about life. Your life is as important as my life, and that's equality. Okay, so when you come down to life and equality, they can't be separated. These are just one dualism. It's like men and women, they have equal value. They're as important as each other, and so on. Yes, B.
Okay. I just wanted to, how do I say this? What you just said, about life inequality kind of goes back to our first session where we talked about the sovereignty of the individual and how, you know, you are sovereign. So in terms of life, for say for an individual, obviously their lives are very important, right? The first thing as an individual is you look after yourself, correct? And that's what most people do, and it's natural. But due to equality or the limits of sovereignty, you have to think about other people. So what you want for yourself
Mhm.
should also apply to other people.
Exactly.
Whatever you want for yourself
Yes.
has to be, you have to assume other people want the same thing, which means you can't want something that is going to interfere with somebody else's right to want the same thing. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
It's just a
No,
comment.
that's a truth. You know, truth with all capital letters. And that's why we want to, I reflect on that. We want to have those people who understand the sovereignty of each individual to be our leaders, to be our most influential people. And we want those kinds of people to care for our children. And we want them to respect our children as, oh, I know I blew somebody's mind, a bunch of people's mind someday. It's like, you know, you as a parent are engaging with the adult in your children. When you begin to treat your children as grown adults, equal as to yourself, boy, your parenting will change. Your child rearing will change. You become then more intimately responsible for the adult that they will become. And you're teaching them to become that adult that you want to have as a neighbor. There's some children I've seen in families who are disgusting, and the parents don't want them in their house, don't want them around. These were children who were raised inappropriately, incorrectly. So when we begin to raise our children as ourself, which is an echo of what you were just saying, we want the very best for our children as we would want for ourselves. And what are the things that we missed as a child receiving? Equal emotional worth. Okay? And that shouting at children is just not really a good thing to do. And beating them out of your own frustration at your lack of parenting skills just does not work. Okay? And it's true. Sometimes there is a need for pain, but it should be appropriate pain. It shouldn't be pain that is assaultive. It shouldn't be pain as an expression of your own frustration of parenting. I've been there, kids. I had my oldest child was, boy, 20 months, he just went, no, you can't hold me. And he went through the terrible twos for 3 years. I'm telling you, when that's humiliating to raise a child who he doesn't want to have a relationship with you, and how to relate to them, and how to bring out the best in them. And I found that as when they became teenagers, the best thing I could do is give them as much responsibility as I could. Whether they were smoking pot or dropping LSD, or they're dating or whatever, using the car, I just gave them the parameters of what will get them back home safely and in good balance, and what doesn't. having worked in criminal corrections, I could tell these kids what it would be like for them to end up in jail, juvenile jail. And what happens after that? So when we give them responsibility, they need the parameters of what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And as parents, we need to balance that, our love with them, with responsibility, not permissiveness. Love is not permissive. Yes, Jacques.
Myself with my grandson, I try to teach them to have fun in life.
Yes.
Because I think it's very important. I let them to drive my small tractor,
Yes.
They like, because all people say, no, they're too young, but they take fun, they take responsibility, you see?
Yes.
And I try really to have fun with them, really. It's important for me.
Good.
Freedom.
I have to run. I'm sorry. I'll have to attend to other matters, but thank you very much. And we'll look forward to read the transcript.
Thank you for being with us,
Well,
Stephan.
Bye,
Bless you.
Stephan.
Bye,
Bye.
Stephan.
Okay.
Oh, hi, Kona.
Kona.
Yeah.
Bonjour,
She's just
Kona.
not visible.
Oh.
There she is.
Good morning, my time. Good morning, good evening, your time.
Good morning.
We did 180 on our session from last week. We are very positive, very loving, very contributing, very kind, and positive and constructive. And we have gotten into the intimate nuts and bolts of running a family learning center. We've talked about the learning programs, the curriculum, and that this, although we have said that there should be one family learning center in every school district, organizationally, they're not combined at all, and that they are separate, distinctly separate organizationally and physically. Okay, so we don't. We kind of got into a discussion about. Well, anyhow, I had to make it clear to the team that we weren't going to be organizationally intimate with the educational system, but that we would be connected with them in learning programs and missing elements in public education, for example. Well, of course, we will get into education in next week or the week after, but education is in many ways an adjunct to the family. And that has never been very well sorted out in American education, the parenting and childcare of children, of students and pupils. It needs to be sorted out and whatnot like that. So we are, Martha, what's our time look like? Where are we now?
We're 9 minutes past 6.
And where are we as far as Utter is concerned?
No, my Otter only does 90 minutes. So at half past
90.
6,
okay, we're
if
good.
we could cut then and start another one, it could 2. So we'll have to cut it and then start another one, if that's possible.
Well, it's
start
very
another
possible.
recording.
I don't know if it's preferable though.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so last week we just couldn't shut it off.
Aren't you glad we got that out of the way?
Oh God, yes.
Una pregunta. Estamos en este momento grabando esta sesión. ¿Hemos terminado, Daniel, para ponerle pausa o seguimos grabando?
What's
Asking
this
if
is all all being recorded.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's being recorded is the closed captions, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But is the video being recorded?
Yes.
Oh, bravo. So we actually have two recordings, a video which also includes sound, and we have Utter recording the transcripts. I mean, the captions, closed captions.
The
Bravo.
text later.
Bravo. Wonderful.
Sí, mi pregunta es, Marta, porque pensé que entendí, no sé si entendí bien, pero ¿pensaban terminar la grabación ya ahorita?
No, not at all.
Ok. Yo entendí mal entonces.
Thank
Gracias.
you. That's been a clarification for me after 3 weeks or a month. That's wonderful. What else? Anything else? We have, as far as a facilitator consultant is concerned, myself, I'm pleased with our discussion of the program, the curricula, and that we will begin with the community to learn about best practices of parenting and child rearing and how children learn best, examples and models and wisdoms and things like that. And that we have also discussed our role as center facilitators. I don't call this person a manager because they facilitate. Put the emphasis in the wrong place. Facilitate the work of others in the Family Learning Center for the best results of the child and the parents. Jacques?
Yeah. As best practices, maybe I try to find to dig the example of Finland. You know, the Northern Europe
Yes.
or European people are very good at, I would say, changing the rules. And the Finland are quite good at testing different type of learning in their school so that people became good adult. They are close to our idea here. They want to bring every children to their potential.
Yes.
That's good.
Oh, yes.
So I will try to find something in English and so that it will be in our archive as best practices from Finland.
Yes, good. As I've envisioned learning centers, they're part of a larger organization. And this larger organization would have a library, a digital library of human wisdom, sustainable human wisdom. And that this would become a resource, a collection of global resources for learning and child rearing and parenting and family dynamics and so on. And that the references that you find would become a part of that digital library. It may not, where there's a conflict with copyrights, then we would simply have that book, that source with an abstract, so that when people have the reference, they can go to a library or a bookstore or Google or Amazon and buy the book. It is amazing when I have looked for wisdom. I've been a wisdom conscientious, intentional wisdom collector since I was age 27. And there are very few collections of wisdom of the do's and don'ts. Whether it is as parents or whether it is as nations. And whether as presidents and premiers or others, ministers of government. Think of the 20,000 years of learning that our species has gone through as an organizational humanity civilization. And we have not been collecting these wisdoms. You know, you could end up with a list of thousands, I suppose. B?
This is a bit of a change of topic, but not change of topic, but what you just said reminded me of the need for statesmanship courses in our society. And I remember in the Urantia book, they do talk about another planet where it is in rebellion, I think, or maybe I'm getting confused, but where there are statesmanship classes, like people go to an institution to learn how to become a good leader and how to interact with other politicians. Like, it's actually a course, right? And I think just parallel to like if we need a family learning center, we need a statesmanship learning center as well.
Well, they used to have them. When I was a teenager, I was selected by the local American Legion to go to Boys State in Iowa. And so I went with several other 100 boys from around the country, around Iowa, to Boys State. And we learned statesmanship, and we had to play different roles in court and as commissioners and so on like that. So yes, it's about valuable. Juan?
Please take a moment.
Yeah. Yes, you're exactly right. And that would be, I'd probably want to sponsor something like that if I was a multimillionaire.
Well, it would have to be in tandem or in conjunction with a family center, so that the people who are brought up in an appropriate environment and go to this family center and already have this background actually and then that just is a sort of an extension of that program.
B, just a second. Are you able to see all the people on our screen?
I believe so, yeah.
Just seeing just yourself on your cell phone?
No, I see everyone.
Okay, well, take note of the people around you. Juan, who's above you in my screen, has raised his hand 3 or 4 times while you were speaking. And so we want to be able to go to, it's polite when we see someone wanting to speak to give them a break. And we, of course, will reciprocate when we see that you want to speak. So this is not just for you, it's for all of us. And I, as a facilitator, have to look at, I desire to, I enjoy looking at 3, 6, 8 screens here in front of me. And I see 8 individuals, and I'm noting their noting their facial expressions. And like Geoff, he's got a mustache, and he plays with his lips. Okay, that says something to me.
And he's got a question.
And he's got a question. Let's go to Juan first. Juan, you had a question for Gunther, sir? No. Okay. Now let's go to Geoff. Hang on.
Hi. Well, I didn't actually have a question. I just, because B actually answered it. She answered her own question earlier. So I was just going to say that we have to realize that everything starts from individuals and the family. That having statesmanship classes would be completely pointless if you didn't have that hadn't started in the family earlier on. So we're just trying to concentrate on the basics. You could go on and on developing this.
Oh,
after.
yes, definitely. B, now you, dear.
Oh, no, I was finished. I just wanted to draw that, I guess, continuation, that's all.
Okay, thank
Something
you.
that could grow out of what we're doing now.
Got it. We got it. Anybody else? Coming to a close, Marthe.
May I ask? No, I just also getting back to what B said, isn't the planetary management course exactly that statesmanship course?
Yes,
Isn't that
that's
you?
what we're
So
doing.
you do have a family learning center and you do have a planetary management course.
Yay, you got it. Yes, this family learning centers is the beginning of planetary management. We start with the earliest places where we can be of influence to the individual who become the managers, the presidents, the legislative leaders, ethics, poets, humanitarians, philosophers, and philanthropists. They begin in the family. Everybody comes from the family. And so, yes, this is, you're beginning to grasp the holism of societal management. And we begin in the family, and then we begin in the community, and that's a design team, the design team process. And that is anyhow, this is my latest book I'm working on. You should be familiar. Yes, and that the reason for existence of the programs that we've been discussing and the mechanisms, the boots on the ground, the operational definition of planetary management. And so we have that. Yes, B.
I just have to say I have to go right now. So really enjoyed the session and I will see all of you next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your participation. Bye-bye.
Good week.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
QB. Bye-bye.
All right. Yes. We're getting to a place where this is starting to gel. You're beginning, some of you have got it already, you've seen it in your head already, where all these pieces gel together as planetary management. And that we are learning the very basics of planetary management in our weekly sessions here. This is and we're going to cover them all if we possibly can, except for the post office. And most of you roll your eyes or roll your heads when I mentioned post office. You know, whether you live in France or Britain, the UK, or United States or Canada, everybody has a post office problem, seems like. So, but what do we want to do is, I want to do in these sessions is to have you like pick up pieces of all aspects of societal living. And so that you're not moving forward unawares, because eventually, before, during, or after the collapse, or whatever you want to think in those terms, you will have an idea about how to broach these subjects, how you could open up these subjects, topics, and initiate discussion. You may not have all the information. You're not required to. Just become acquainted with them so that you can talk about them and they don't frighten you, okay? I think our first session where we discussed human relationships intimately and otherwise was an opener for giving you the ability and permission to talk about all sorts of things in rational ways, okay, and unemotional ways. So I'm going to do Macaventa's closing now. Yep. Before I start, I just want to say that I was visited this morning by Shadna, who is the name of the presiding officer of the Most Highs, this morning, and he works, the Most Highs and Shadna work intimately with Macaventa, our planetary manager, and they're very pleased about the correcting time and what it means, because this is we are an experimental planet that has been in rebellion. Nothing has worked heretofore from the initiation of spirit, from Christ Michael's bestowal on down. And so this experiential process of planetary manager is extremely thrilling to them. They're observing what we're doing with rapt attention. And they're particularly interested in observing and noting and recording what we are doing, from the individual up through our group and through the family learning centers that we hope to establish, and so on. They are, as the correcting time is an experiential process of discovering planetary management with the co-creative participants of the planet. That's pretty gutsy in my book for them to do that. Are you leaving us? Or are you just waving, saying hi? Okay, good.
I'm just taking note of the time, and I would hate to lose Macaventa's part on the recording.
Okay.
It's 2 minutes until 90 minutes if you started right on time.
How much time do we have, Martha? Do you recall, or someone, David?
It's can we stop the recording and start again?
Sure.
Yeah, can we se puede parar y después comenzar nuevamente?
Sí, un segundo.
Muchas gracias.
Let me know when you start